everyone. This is Julie HR, and I am super excited that you're here this week. I sincerely apologize for last week. I wasn't able to go over everything I wanted to go over, but I promise you this week is going to be very insightful. You are going to learn a lot. I'm going to be sharing a lot with you, and I'm also going to be providing you printouts that pertain to a lot of the data that I gathered this week. So I'm super excited about today. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay. And I'm also going to actually show my face within this. I'm going to do a video because I'm actually going to be showing the actual work journal you'll be putting together. So I'm super excited about that. And that's in the engagement portion. So yes, this is the 8th week of me doing a weekly HR update. I go over some HR news, employee engagement, the compliance calendar. We look at trends. We're really going to look at the employee engagement calendar this week. We're going to look at work journal ideas, which are part of our employee engagement week, which is the first week in March. Also, you do not want to miss this. I created an executive brief for you regarding the 2026 State of the Workplace survey by SHRM. It has a lot of great insights, and I'm going to be sharing that with you. And we're also going to talk about the employee experience, the 5 pillars. A lot of people know what employee experience is, and a lot of people do not. But I'm super excited, so let's go ahead and take a look at today's quote. Okay, so my weekly quote is, in order to build a rewarding employee experience, you need to understand what matters most to your people. And the focus word is employee experience. And you're going to see employee experience woven through this entire PowerPoint. It's going to really open your eyes up to what you need to do as an HR professional. So I welcome you today. If you're a new HR professional, if you're a seasoned one, you're going to take something away today that's going to help you excel within your organization. Okay, we're going to take a quick look at HR news, some headlines that caught my attention. Vast majority of employees are now relying on side work. I'm sure a lot of you have seen this probably within your organizations as an HR professional. Okay, so why does this matter? And this is from SHRM. New survey data, I like to use data a lot, shows 72% of U.S. workers now rely on at least one secondary income source, driven by inflation, stagnant wage growth, and layoff fears. With side hustles becoming the norm in 2026, HR leaders should evaluate compensation strategy, financial wellness benefits, and outside employment policies. And that's the thing I want you to really look at, your outside employment policies, because you really want to address burnout, compliance, and any type of retention challenges. So just wanted to give you that data because you need to know that. And if you're seeing your employees looking burned out, who knows, maybe they are one of those that fall into that 72%. As we look at ADP pay insights, there are some pay trends to watch. There are wage growth and labor market signals. And why does this matter? Well, new data from ADP shows key shifts in wage dynamics that could reshape compensation strategies in 2026, particularly the shrinking premium for job hopping and steady wage gains for those employees who stay put. Yes, I remember a time where people could jump around to jobs and get large increases that go from one job to the next, and they go $10,000, So new salary, 20,000. It's not that way anymore. It's very advantageous to, I would say, stay put according to this article. HR leaders should monitor these trends to stay competitive, align pay structures, and strengthen retention initiatives. And just some other points that go along with this pay trends is wage increases for job changers has slowed. So employees need to know that if they go to another job, they're not going to get the increase they were used to getting in the past. Those who switched jobs saw an annualized pay growth of 6.4% in January, down from 6.6% in December. And this particular pace ties with late 2025 as the slowest growth for job changers since early 2021. And that's important for everyone to know, including HR professionals, if you're thinking about going from one corporation to the next. However, industry variation persists. Sectors like construction and mining, there are premiums that still reward job switchers more than others. While in the fields of leisure and hospitality, which I've been in hospitality, and also IT, staying with the same employer can actually pay off more than switching. And I think I said that earlier. So with that being said, we're going to keep going. And we're going to take a look at our HR compliance calendar. And as far as items were concerned, with February, we had completed all the items in February. So we're going to go ahead and look at March. So as we look at the key dates, you'll see that there's a lot of ACA deadlines and ACA forms to be distributed for those that are on your health insurance plans. More than likely, your payroll or perhaps your insurance brokers have already sent those out. Also, there's a 1099 miscellaneous paper filing and OSHA 300A e-file for covered employers only. And then on the 6th is Employee Appreciation Day. And we're really going to take a great look at we're going to look at the entire week of this. Also, there are a couple other dates that are on the 16th and the 31st. And I want you to go ahead and start, I forgot to tell you the most important one. The one with the sunshine. Daylight savings time begins. That is so wonderful because I love the sun and I love warmer weather and I love more light when you get off of work. It's great. But I want you to go ahead and start thinking about, it's going to be the end of the first quarter and it's right around the corner. So what are some of your reporting requirements? Do you need to show your leaders turnover, employee safety statistics? Let me know if you're looking for something because I have a lot of great reporting templates on my Etsy site that can assist you and make you look very organized as far as it pertains to reporting at the end of each quarter. So I'm here to help you on that. But go ahead and start thinking about that because it's important to be able to provide your leaders with items such as that. Okay. And we're going to go on to, we're going to look at, I always mention the trends, the renewed focus on employee engagement, skills-based approach, personalized employee experience. And we're really going to dive into this with the State of the Workplace survey. Holistic well-being and mental health, and AI transitions from automation to Copilot. A lot of organizations are not quite there. A lot of the large ones are, but small to mid-sized ones, they are not have not taken the big dive into AI as a Copilot. Okay, and keep going. All right, March. Okay, And this employee engagement calendar is very, very important. Employee engagement does tie in heavily to the employee experience because, we're looking at culture, core values, employee recognition, career development, manager training, one-on-ones, wellness initiatives. And this employee engagement calendar found on my Etsy site also has templates included with it that can really help you, even though, January's theme is mission and core values. You can always roll that out whenever you want, whenever it is convenient for your organization to do so, when there's times for your leaders, your high-level executives to be involved because they need to be involved in those types of initiatives. As we go through February, hope everyone had a great Love Your Pet Day and everybody was able to share pet photos and on the office bulletin board and whatnot. And I really want this employee engagement calendar to serve as a guide. It doesn't necessarily need to be rolled out all at once, but I'm hoping that it will provide you with some ideas to allow employees to recognize each other, to recognize your culture and bring people together. And we're going to take a look at March. And March is very, very important because it is Employee Appreciation Day on March the 6th. However, when I created this employee engagement calendar, I created activities for March the 2nd, the 3rd, the 4th, and then also the 6th. On the 2nd, I put Employee Appreciation Monday, work journal creation, HR-directed. And we're going to look at what I put together, and I actually even created my own work journal, employee work journal creation, and I'm going to share that with you also. I think it's a great idea. I know a lot of other organizations that have done it, and I'll be honest, I've done this in other organizations, and it has been a hit. It's brought a lot of people together, and I think Employee Appreciation Week is a great time to roll it out. On Tuesday is Team Appreciation Tuesdays, where employees can write thank you notes to those within their team, and managers will write notes to team members. I have Wellness Wednesday, and keep in mind today is the 22nd. However, we're going to go ahead and go into March because I want to give you guys time to think about, as HR professionals, how you are going to structure employee appreciation. It's very important to get it right and to show appreciation to your employees in the ways that you're able to do so. All right, with that being said, on Wednesday is Wellness Wednesday Reset. Micro breaks, relaxing, teas, snacks, fruit. If you have like an area where employees can go, maybe have like an area where employees can just relax, maybe have some music, just that's very relaxing. Maybe put some books out. But Wellness Wednesday Reset. And we can still think about this because we can talk about this next week also. Okay. Also, and then on the 6th, this is a huge day. You need to make sure your senior leaders, your executives know this is the official appreciation day for employees. So I'm on the calendar, I put senior leaders to host a luncheon. And perhaps this is a great time to share peer-to-peer star cards. We've talked about star cards where employees write things about other employees that are very positive, that tie into their core values, and thank employees for their contributions. So this is a time that you really need to get with your leaders, you want to make sure you get with your executives and make sure this is on their calendar. They'll need to speak at this, or they'll need to put out some type of email or whatnot, because it is the official appreciation day. With that being said, I'm going to go on to the next section, but I'm going to zoom out work journal ideas, because we talked about the work journal. Okay. All right. I'm going to hop over to here 1 second. Okay, let's see. Okay, here I am. Okay, right here. And here's all my videos and whatnot. So I'll probably be coming back to this so I can show you my work journal and like some of the actual tools that you're going to need for this. So I'm going to go back, and I'm actually going to go to this particular, let's see, work journal ideas. Okay. A work journal, I created this, and it's something that, I want you guys to incorporate it on that Monday. It's a work journal overview, and it doesn't have to be called employee work journal, but it does need to take a positive twist. There needs to be no negativity in it. It could be called my work and wins journal, my growth and gratitude journal, purpose and progress journal. I put the yellow book, but that we probably don't need it. My particular journal, one that I created, is yellow. It can be entitled like a reflection, recognition, and growth journal. And I was thinking March to December, you can turn this activity into like a year-long engagement tool. And you'll structure I'm going to go over to look at right over here so you can see me. Okay, so this is my employee work journal. I don't know if you can see it. It's yellow on the front, right? And on the back, it's blue. And inside of it, and I literally created it with paper, right? Staples. And then I found some great little cardstock at the dollar store, along with some cute little, here, I'll kind of make myself a little bit bigger. Okay. Along with like some stickers. So what I was thinking is that and within that particular paper document that I created for you, it's going to include the items that you're going to need, such as a hole puncher, some cardstock, just some white paper. You're going to maybe need a 3-hole punch if you want to make your journal creative and make it with yarn or whatnot. What I did was I took 6 pieces of paper, put them together like this. I cut some creative paper, put it on the front, and then I put some creative paper on the back, stapled it together, and then I also put like a little line to cover the staples with the extra yellow paper I had and the extra blue paper I had. And also I was able at the dollar store to pick up some stickers, because I want this employee work journal to bring employees together, and I want you to be able to structure it where employees from different departments come together and maybe have like a 30-minute session where you go over it, happy employee engagement week. Here are all your supplies. We are going to be creating a work journal, and also want all of you to share, about your work journal. And on mine, with the stickers, I picked up some stickers, and you'll see there's a dog on it, and because my dog, I love it, and it makes a huge impact in my life, makes me very happy. I also have glasses, because sometimes I will wear my glasses, sometimes I won't. But I have a lot of different kinds of glasses. I have like some jewels and it's like gemstones. I love rings and anything shiny. What girl doesn't? Also, there is a guitar on here because I love live music. I also put like a little green, just like a green leaf, because I love being outside. I love when it's beautiful. I love the green grass. I'm in Atlanta, Georgia, and I just love being outside. I live close to a park. And I put this right here. I was trying to look for some sporting type of stickers because, people bond over sports. They bond over activities, and I want you to be able to bring people together. And I put this right here. It looked like a basketball, but I think it was like a flower. But I put it there because I absolutely love basketball, professional, WNBA, NBA, college. I love basketball, played in high school, and I still try to play to this day. I am pretty tall, so I love it. Also, I put like a lot of organization. You kind of want your employees to talk about themselves and what represents them. And there was something that had like organized little like vases to kind of show that I'm a very organized person and I like to keep things structured and whatnot. And then by next week, I'm going to have this all filled out. So before you hit the ground running for employee engagement, you'll have some more ideas, and you'll also be able to visit my HR education website and download the entire Word document, which we're going to look at, right? So here's the front. I'm going to put my name on it, Julie Burns, and I love HR. And then on the back, and the reason why this is yellow is because I love the sun. I'm a very happy, grateful person, and I just wanted my cover to kind of be how I feel most of the time. And on the back is blue. Why? Because I love the ocean. I love going to the beach. I love visiting the coast of Georgia, Florida. I think the water is beautiful. I don't necessarily like to go in the water and swim, but I love the beach and just the vibes. So we'll look at this, and then inside, we'll take a look. We're going to go back to my actual Word document. Here we go. So I was thinking the structure of the employee journal could be March through December work journal with a decorated color, like I mentioned. And then the employees can share with each other, why did I choose this color? What do my symbols represent? How do I show up at work? Everything needs to have a very positive twist. If there was a challenge or a struggle that we may mention, everything needs to be phrased in a positive light. Page 2, I was thinking you could write something on the board, my intention for this year. All right. And then you're going to have monthly pages. And I wanted to go back because I didn't actually cover it, but I did bring them all out onto my desk. So we're going to go back and look at me again. Hold on. Like just these little Post-it notes, there's going to be a section for employees to write things to other employees, like, thank you so much for your teamwork on this project. And there'll be a section on each month. Each month, there'll be a section to actually put these notes. So I really want everything to, I want to help. I want to give you, even if you don't incorporate everything, I want to give you ideas that'll help you be a great HR manager and tap into that creativity. And if this is not exactly what you want to do, hopefully I'm providing you with some good ideas. So let's go back here. So I was thinking, like, on the pages, the monthly pages, March to December, my wins for the month, words of praise, and this will be the Post-it section for peer recognition, what you've learned. You might want to put positive feedback. You may or may not want to have a section for challenges they've managed, may or may not. And then next month's focus. And this is pretty powerful because it allows employees to actually document like, the good, the positive, how they have grown. You don't want them to be putting, other people's names in it, or, talking down to anyone. You want this to be a very positive um, journal that can be, picked up a couple times a month by the employees to look at, and to also write notes to their team members and others and recognize them. It's just another recognition employee engagement idea during the Employee Appreciation Week. Okay, if you now we're going to go back to the PowerPoint. Okay. And I'm gonna blow this up. It'll take a second because it's going to take me back to the front, but I'm going to click through it really super fast. And I think since January 8th, we have been talking about the state of the workplace, right? Which is a survey that SHRM had conducted, right? That covers about 1,800 HR professionals, around 250 higher level, like CHRO employees, and then 2,000 employees. So you've got the workers, HR professionals, and HR executives. And it says, mark your calendar for this webinar, February 18th. Well, I marked my calendar, and I promised all of you that I would be attending it. And I did. And it was an hour long, and there were approximately 67 pages. There's a lot of data, but there was someone that was able to synthesize the data and provided me with lots of great ideas. And because data drives decision, but I needed someone from this SHRM webinar to tell me, hey, what does all this? I mean, I saw a lot of the responses from the State of the Workplace, like summary, but what does it all mean when you bring it all together? How is it going to help effectively address workplace needs for employees and produce a culture for employees to like help them with, whether it be employee stress or burnout across the board, with their wages, with their mental health. All of this data was actually given, and I wrote a lot of notes, and I actually did I did my own personal executive summary, which was actually data just kind of I pulled from here and there from the actual webinar, that I think will help you, because I essentially want to give you what all this data provided and what SHRM sees as huge wins for you as an HR professional. So I'm going to zoom out once again. Let's go to the next page real quick. Yeah. So what I did for you is I created just a two-page easy to read thing, and you can actually share this with your team members. You can actually share it with your boss, to say, hey, this is from, a very reputable, SHRM is very reputable, and this is who was surveyed. This is what the data looks like, and this is where it comes from. And you can actually share it with your leaders, and you may actually be implementing some of the ideas that they came up with already. So I want to share that with you. And please note that this particular SHRM State of the Workplace, which I created this on my own, and I just want it to be easy for you to read, especially if you're a new HR professional. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. Okay. I'm not going to go to the employee experience just yet. Let me zoom out. And we're going to actually find the, if you want, let's see, employee experience notes. No. We're going to look at the SHRM state of the workplace. Okay, and up here, I kind of want to just preface you with like some actual data just in case you are going to share with your leaders, hey, this is what's going on in other workplaces. As mentioned, 1,800 HR professionals, including more than 350 in vice president role or higher at the organization, and nationally representative data from over 2,000 U.S.-based workers in October and November of 2025 provided they were given a survey, and this is what the workplace looks like. We are looking at, as mentioned, we are looking at workers, we're looking at HR professionals, and we're looking at HR executives. And we are trying to come to how are we going to meet workers' needs, and how are we going to meet them? Based on all the data, how are we going to meet them? So after reading through the State of the Workplace report, attending the webinar, I've actually come up with some things, and you can actually print this out. It's going to be on my HR education website, which is, we'll take a look. It'll be under free resources. And I'll just put the link down here, and you can actually print it out if you share it with your executives or whatnot. Okay, so the strategic reality, given all the data, SHRM, this 2026 SHRM State of the Workplace report reveals a clear business imperative, and that organizations that effectively meet employee needs dramatically improve engagement, reduce burnout, and lower turnover risk amid rising employee expectations, economic pressure, and leadership capacity gaps. HR, which is you are the HR professionals, must operate strategically and proactively, okay? And the employee experience, it was talked about over and over and over again in this webinar, especially from these data analysts, about the importance of it. The employee experience is no longer a cultural initiative. It is a measurable performance driver. And I wanted to share with you what workers prioritize, okay? So these 2,000 workers were given all these items, and this is what workers prioritize. And they said that salary and wages, 24% was the most important. 15% said stress and burnout is one of the most important things, and that is impacting their employee experience and work. The work-life integration, that's very important. Their mental health, and also pay fairness. So that's what workers prioritized, okay? HR, of course, workers, salary and wages, okay? HR and executives prioritize manager and supervisor effectiveness, because if we go back over here, you can see that managers and supervisors' ability to effectively lead their direct reports was a really large concern right here. So we'll go back here. So manager and supervisor effectiveness, stress and burnout, and salary and wages. That's what HR and executives prioritize. And a little insight, I've done a little insight lines. Employees feel the stress. HR sees leadership capability as a leverage point. Okay, now we're going to look at the retention and engagement impact. Okay, when employees believe their organization effectively addresses their workplace needs, right? And indeed, a lot of employees felt that their employers effectively address their workplace needs. So when employees believe that their organization effectively addresses the workplace needs, 91% report job satisfaction versus 44 who don't see that their organization prioritizes their needs. 91% report engagement versus 50% who don't see their employer addressing their needs. 85% report organizational commitment versus 41, and burnout drops from 57 to 18%, and turnover likelihood is cut in half. So it is important for the employees to believe that their organization effectively addresses their workplace needs, because that is going to be a huge key. And you guys, as HR professionals, need to know that you need to be effectively and targeting, and in a targeted way, understanding and effectively addressing workplace needs. But we'll get to that in a little bit. Okay. Employees who view their organization as ineffective are more than twice as likely to consider leaving within the next year. However, it was very promising to see that a lot of employees really saw that their employers were doing a satisfactory job in helping them with their needs. As we know from earlier, they saw that pay was right up there along with employee burnout and stress. And the employee burnout and stress is huge. But what else is huge is that the HR capacity risk. And this is what was also noted via the data. 58% of HR teams, and this is coming from, the HR professionals, 58% of HR teams report working beyond capacity. 55% report insufficient staffing. 72% say employee expectations are higher than ever. So other professionals, HR professionals that are in roles such as yours, are saying employee expectations are higher than ever. I don't know if you agree with it, but I know that I've heard a lot of people say that is pretty much spot on. Excuse me. 32% report erosion of trust between workers and organizations. So without adequate HR investment, workforce performance and retention outcomes will decline. So it's very important to take a look at if you're a department of one and you need someone else to help you, do not hesitate to reach out to your manager and say, hey, listen, I'm seeing this, and you may even want to use some of this verbiage. I'm working beyond my capacity. I just don't feel like there's insufficient staffing to allow me to be the best HR professional I can be for this organization and to be a strategic partner. So I'm hoping this can help you in some ways. So as mentioned, without adequate HR investment, workforce performance and retention outcomes will decline. So there was a lot of data in here, but some 2026 strategic action plans, and it'll depend on the organization. These are some of the takeaways. It'll be important to conduct compensation and benchmarking and pay equity audits, because as we know that pay was a big concern for the workers, and we're looking at workers right now. It's also important. There's also a bit of a disconnect, and I'm going to read through some of my notes here in just a second because I took a whole lot of notes while I was actually watching the video. Strengthen manager leadership and coaching capability. And I think a lot of you are actually, and I've talked to a lot of you, you are working with manager leadership in their coaching, in their mentoring, how they're dealing with conflict resolution. So you are on the right track, right? Okay. What you're going to need to do at the end of March is to implement a quarterly kind of employee pulse survey. And remember, I was talking earlier about employee surveys and the importance at the end of the quarter, and what are you reporting? What are you reporting? You need to get an employee pulse survey. I've got some surveys on my Etsy site, but you may want to look and see if there's any other ones out there, maybe Google it or whatnot. And meanwhile, I'll also look to see if I can find something that's a little bit more expansive, but I do have a couple surveys on my site. You want to close feedback loops with visible action plans. It's going to be very, very important for you to not only understand what the employee needs are, but you are going to need to understand them through, I'm thinking, focus groups, and I've mentioned this a while back, just touching bases with managers on a weekly, at a particular time each week. That'll be very important, right? So close feedback loops with visible action plans. Also, align employee experience metrics. And we're going to be talking about employee experience because maybe everyone doesn't know exactly what employee experience is. It's not just employee engagement. It's not just onboarding. It's kind of a holistic thing with an employee. You're going to need to align employee experience metrics with business KPIs. And as mentioned, advocate for HR staffing and operational support, because if you feel like you need the support, you can't do it alone. And so kind of the bottom line, and then I'm going to read my notes and see how it aligns with like my report a little bit, because I kind of used it to write my report, but I didn't put everything on there. The bottom line is that organizations that effectively meet employee needs, double engagement, reduce burnout by nearly 40 percentage points, and significantly lower turnover risk. This is not about perks. This is about sustainable organizational performance. And I'm going to go back to me right here. And I'm actually going to read my notes because I wrote a whole lot of notes. Effectiveness at addressing workplace needs, drive key outcomes. So I wrote HR faces staffing and workload challenges and changes, which we talked about. Some top HR priorities would be the employee experience, as mentioned, and also enhancing the culture. So anything you're doing employee engagement, culture is good. There needs to also, there was something that HR professionals noticed, that there was a bit of a gap. Hence, it's important for you to know that you as HR professionals need to assist in fostering trust between workers and executive leadership, okay? Because there seems, within this large report, right, actually I just picked up on this, there is there's a lack of trust, and there can be a lack of trust, right? Why? I would say lack of communication. So what could you do? You could implement, you could, meet with the executives and say, hey, listen, um, it would be a great idea for you to address the employees, whether it's a video, whether you walk around on the floor. It's very important that the executives show that they can be trusted, and also just to get out there and show their face. So it's up to you to foster trust between workers and executive leadership. Also, across the board, workers, HR professionals, and also higher level executives in HR say that employee stress or burnout is taking a toll. And then also, HR is understaffed. And I can honestly say that in my past years, I've been a department of one for probably at least 10 of those years. But luckily, that gave me the opportunity to really learn all the facets of HR. I wouldn't know all this if I wasn't a department of one. But now things are changing. They're not like they were, back in 2018. Also, what else did I write? Employee experience as a strategic imperative, as I mentioned. Improving the experience will help burnout and stress. You need a continuous feedback loop, and you really need to tailor the experience, right? So I don't know if you have an employee experience strategy that you use, or even if you've been presented with that type of idea to do. That is something that you can go ahead and think about, maybe having a type of strategy. But first, and before you have a strategy, you really need to know what your employee needs are. So first and foremost, you need to actually have focus groups and surveys and stuff. And this needs to be ongoing. And we'll talk about that in a bit later. You as an HR professional also want to show your worth and your value. You want to show how your initiatives, right, your strategic initiatives are going to be attacking these pain points for employees. How are these initiatives that you're coming up with that are so important are going to be addressing employees' pain points, such as stress and whatnot. And you need to be able to communicate this to executive leadership so you need to be recognized. There's a lot of HR individuals who operate kind of sort of in the dark. They do all this work, but it's not really brought to the top. You need to be able to show how things are working. And if you can actually show how your actions will drive financial performance, wow, that's amazing. That would be amazing. But bottom line is you need to prioritize the employee experience. And with that being said, we're gonna actually take a look at what is employee experience. What all is it? I mean, and hopefully I'll be able to provide you with some ideas that you can take and think about implementing once you've actually surveyed your employees in your workforce. My Gatorade. Okay, so let's go back to the PowerPoint right here. Now I'm just going to click to the next. So we just went over that, and you're gonna know that this will be on my Employee Education Edge website. Okay. Okay, now to look at the employee experience, because that is the thing that you are going to be targeting, or maybe you already are targeting but we're going to take a look at it for those that maybe don't exactly understand it, or maybe don't understand all the different pillars, or maybe you define it in a different way. I know a lot of people do. So I just made some notes for you, which you can also download and print out. Employee experience notes. So some of the leading bodies like Gardner defines employee experience, how employees internalize and interpret the interactions they have with the organization. Make this a little larger. Deloitte frames it as the combination of culture, technology, and physical environment. Josh Bernstein expands it to include belonging, growth, leadership, and meaningful work. And I'm about to write a paper on meaningful work because I'm really into that. And because that is so important. Employees need to have meaningful work. But I digress. Okay. In practical terms, employee experience is the perception employees form about your organization based on culture, leadership, systems, policies, work designs, and daily interactions. And it is typically comprised of about five integrated pillars. And I want you to be able to talk about this with your leaders should you need to. Okay. So what employee experience is comprised of is, number one, the cultural experience. So it's the emotional and relational environment. And that includes leadership behavior, which is something that I mentioned you need to work with your executives on. Psychological safety, inclusion and belonging, organizational values and action, recognition practices, what do you know? Communication, transparency, and trust in management. Now, if any of those things are lacking, you've got some work. Okay. This is how it feels to work your component. Okay. Then there's work experience. It's actually the design of the job itself, such as role clarity. Do these employees know what their job description is? They should, because it should be, the clarity of their role should be in that job description. Their workload balance, autonomy. Employees, they need autonomy to work on some other things, to be motivated. Flexibility, performance management, collaboration structures, and career mobility. And so that this kind of answers, is my work manageable, meaningful, and is it well designed? Okay. So that's another important part of the employee experience. Also, we're going to take a look at growth and development. The future orientation, which includes learning and development access, internal mobility pathways, coaching and mentoring, succession planning visibility, skill building opportunities, clear advancement criteria. Employees today evaluate employers heavily on their growth trajectory. Also, compensation and rewards experience. And this isn't just salary, it's the total rewards, to include base pay competitiveness, pay transparency, benefits design, financial wellness offerings, recognition programs, incentives and bonuses, equity and fairness and compensation. And this ties directly to retention, especially in high cost of living environments. And as you know, pretty much every one of these items, you can go on my Etsy website, or you can reach out to me, and I can point you in the right direction of some templates that will, provide you with items to assist you with your recognition programs, or your benefit, or your learning and development, or your coaching and mentoring. Okay, we're going to keep on going. All right. Digital and operational experience. the systems and infrastructure side, and that includes the HRIS usability. Hopefully all of you guys have great HRS systems, payroll accuracy, the onboarding process, IT responsiveness, AI integration, workflow efficiency, and policy clarity. It's been said that poor systems can erode experience faster than culture statements can fix. So it's important to ensure that these things are implemented and they are stable and they are able to support employees and give them accurate payroll. And you guys are able to run reports with the HRIS system that provide data to your leaders. And IT needs to be able to respond to employees very quickly because a good majority of us have to sit at a desk or whatnot. So moving right along, and I'm just going a little bit more, not too much. Okay, employee experience. Okay, employee experience across the life cycle. So when you're thinking about the employee experience, it's just not in the first 6 months. It is across the life cycle, from recruitment to onboarding to performance cycles, career progression, compensation reviews, manager interactions, offboarding. Every single moment matters. So the employee experience. Okay, so what is the employee experience not? Well, it's not free snacks, casual Fridays, just one engagement survey, a DEI statement without accountability, a wellness webinar once a year. It's very important to note it is systematic, continuous, and it is measurable. I know HR professionals like yourselves, you've got a lot on your plate and it's hard to measure things because you've got so many balls in the air, but you can't manage what you can't measure. So it's going to be important for you to be able to measure these things. Okay, so why does employee experience matter in 2026? Well, current workforce data trends show that there's an increased side work due to financial stress. We know that. AI anxiety and job displacement fears. There's a lot of that. There really is. Therefore, there needs to be transparency and communication. You guys know that. Layoff uncertainty impacting trust, higher expectations for flexibility, and strong demand for career mobility. Okay. So this is just me explaining what employee experience is. This doesn't necessarily, this did not come from SHRM. This came, excuse me, straight from me. Hold on one second. Okay, so employee experience is now a retention strategy, not a branding strategy. Organizations with strong EX frameworks, employee experience frameworks, typically see lower voluntary turnover, higher productivity. That's what you want. High productivity. You want the employees to be effective and efficient too. Strong employer brand. Therefore, that's why I'm always talking about culture and recognition and core values, and increased internal mobility and improved engagement scores. And then here's just I just did another definition. If I could put it into like one sentence, I would say the employee experience it's an intentional design of every cultural, operational, and leadership interaction that shapes how employees feel, perform, grow, and stay with an organization. So that being said, I hope that helps for those that did not know exactly what employee experience is. It's very holistic. It's very, very holistic. Okay, now we're going to go back to my PowerPoint. We've got only 2 more slides. Excuse me. Okay. All right. So this week I worked actually the past 3 weeks, I worked really hard to update this from 2025 to 2026. I added 50 more templates to this. And I'm going to we're going to go visit my Etsy site real quick. And I've actually got a lot of people to actually buy it. So I'm really encouraged with that. Okay. And for those people who are just new to HR and you really want to know what HR is about, well, this template gives you a good portion of all the different facets of the HR function. So let's take a look at that. You're going to get new hire paperwork, all of this, benefits overview, the benefits enrollment, and these are digital downloads, colorful. They're very consistent looking. I try to make everything perfect for anyone who shops in my store. Performance templates. You're going to get the SMART goals, performance reviews, individual development plan, goal setting template. You'll get a lot of performance templates to help you. You're going to get a lot of safety templates too, safety orientation checklist, and some really colorful HR templates that are visual in design, organizational chart, star card, recruiting process, SMART goals, after action review, onboarding roadmap. This is a really great bundle or HR system on some level. I mean, here's some like interviewing and recruiting templates, like now hiring, interview questions. Here's a resume application review sheet, candidate interview. I'm just going to look at some of those, and then you have little check boxes. And here's applicant tracking. This is a great Excel spreadsheet. It will not let you down. It keeps up with everything. And then I provide HR spreadsheets to you, employee roster, employee turnover, which you need to be reporting on quarterly. Also HR department budget. Here is the full-time equivalent headcount sheet. This is important also. And then I provide you 60 policy templates for your business, along with, and I just rolled this out the other week, an employee handbook, right? And I'm really proud of this handbook. It's very easy to edit. You have headings, you have fonts, and then you have like subheadings. You don't have a whole bunch of different types of fonts here and there and everywhere. It is simplistic, but it covers a lot of things, and I think it's about 56 pages. So employee training, new hire training tracker, training plan template. If your employees are on the floor, they can carry this form around with them, and it's great. Keep going. If you don't have an new employee orientation PowerPoint, this is great. It goes through everything that you would need. It talks about benefits. It talks about who is in the organization. It talks about your core values. It talks about safety, who you need to contact. So onboarding and orientation. Here's a great employee orientation agenda. And here's just, amazing bundle, and then some of all the areas it covers. Also, there are a lot of checklists. There's actually more than this. There's actually more than 6 checklists in here, but this is employee engagement checklist, succession planning checklist, offboarding checklist, new hire orientation, and also an IT onboarding checklist if your IT department needs something. I include an instructional video with your purchase. So you're going to know what folders are in there. If it's a Google Doc, if it's a Google Sheet, if it's a Word, if it's Excel, it does contain a instructional video. And then here's why HR Education Edge. It's built by an HR leader. I almost have 25,000 buyers, and I'm proud to say that over 75 countries have actually purchased from me multiple times. So super excited about that. So with that being said, I'm going to go back to this. And if you haven't already, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button and also the bell notifications so you'll know when I do put a new video out. I just don't put out HR weekly videos. I also put out template videos. Okay, so go ahead, if you could, and hit like, please. Follow me on Instagram. Here's the link to my Etsy shop, my website. All of this will be in the description. And feel free to sign up for free templates. I only send out like one email a month. I don't inundate you with a lot of stuff, and I do enjoy providing you with things that are going to make you a better HR professional, because that gives me a lot of satisfaction. I don't want you to have to reinvent the wheel. If I can help you, if I can mentor you, if I can provide you with anything, please know that I am here to help. That being said, I know this has been long, but I hope this has been helpful. And please note that I will put all the links in the description. So have a wonderful week, and thank you so much. And I will talk to you soon. Take care.